We have some breaking news to tell you about right now, too. U.S. President Donald Trump announcing today that Kristi Noem will be replaced as head of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Donald Trump made the announcement on social media earlier today. According to him, she will serve as special envoy now for the Shield of the Americas. Noem faced criticism in January when she quickly labeled two U.S. citizens fatally shot by federal immigration agents in Minneapolis as committing, quote, domestic terrorism. Noem is going to be replaced by Senator Markwayne Mullin at the DHS. CTV News U.S. political analyst Eric Ham joins us now for more reaction to this. Eric, certainly interesting, too, in the timing of this announcement, I guess more than anything, that it's taken to this point for Donald Trump and the administration to say that they're going to replace Kristi Noem. Your reaction to it?
This is all stunning and quite surprising. We know that Kristi Noem had two very brutal hearings before Congress over the last 2 days, and our sources are telling us Donald Trump was simply fed up with that. But to replace her at a time when there's so much upheaval right now, when we are, of course, looking at the war in Iran and the fact that the Homeland Security Department has not received its appropriations, so it's still technically the only agency of the government that is, in fact, shut down. And now Donald Trump is making this move now and announcing a Senator Mullin who will replace her. That is going to be a very, very testy confirmation hearing that will take place. And so I think Donald Trump certainly likes to go big, but this, I think, is even perhaps a bit of a risk taker even for this president.
For our Canadian viewers that may not be as familiar with Mullin, too, take us through why that is going to be such a contentious hearing, too, for him to be replaced.
Well, because the reason it's going to be so contentious is because right now, the Homeland Security Department, particularly ICE, which falls under Homeland Security, this is a very unpopular agency right now, even with those supporters of the president himself. And so what this appears to be is you're basically replacing the, people, but the process and the agency and the work that they're doing and the laws that they have broken, not according to me, according to even some of the judges who have actually held DHS in contempt. This is going to, I think, be very difficult. And it's all coming at a time when Donald Trump's approval ratings is at their lowest point. Americans are not supportive of the strikes in Iran. And now you're putting another MAGA person in charge. And again, this is going to, I think, create just more explosion. And this all happens at a time when we're inching closer and closer to those all-important midterm elections. And every single day, Donald Trump's approval ratings continue to fall. And so given that his ability to maintain control of that base, to say nothing of his own mandate, which he's never had, it's going to be hard for even Republicans, not just to support Mullin as the new DHS secretary, but can they actually approve this given what we're seeing right now in terms of the reputational crater that we're seeing among ICE and DHS as a whole? And to say nothing, of course, of the fact that you still have Democrats and the White House that are at odds over the funding for this agency.
Right, I was about to say, you know, the funding, I don't think, has been sorted out as far as we understand. They removed that from the latest funding bill, right, in order to carry on some of those negotiations. Has there been a time, or do you see, you know, again, with the impact on the midterms, too, is there a possibility, given everything you just outlined, that he's actually not confirmed as the new head of DHS?
No, I don't think that will happen. In fact, I can't see Republicans saying they will not support him. But here's where this gets interesting. We know that this transition is supposed to happen at the end of the month. We've got a war taking place in Iran right now. You have Democratic lawmakers who are not going along with funding for this agency. They want to see fundamental changes to ICE. We know that it is Deputy White House Chief of Staff Stephen Miller who is running a lot of the programs, and it's actually Kristi Noem who was actually taking her orders from the White House directly. In fact, she said that publicly. And so the question now is going to be what Democratic lawmakers are going to put this to Senator Mullin. Are you going to take orders from Stephen Miller, or are you going to adhere to the Constitution? That is going to be the big issue that he is going to have to face. And all of that is coming again, we're talking a month from now. Who knows where this war is going to be, how far Donald Trump's poll numbers will fall. And at that point, will Republicans be willing to stand behind Donald Trump and this nominee, even as he is a colleague of theirs? This is just, I think, a very heavy lift for Republicans, and Donald Trump is asking them to do quite a lot in a very, very short period of time.
The dynamics here, Eric, are just fascinating, too. I've got one more for you, too. Hopefully you're okay with that. But as you know, it feels like not necessarily it's the ultimate motivation for Donald Trump, but now another subject where is overshadowing the Epstein files, right? That it was kind of taking away what was the largest issue that was facing him and his administration, now taking away from that again. What is the latest on that front, or as much as what we know?
Well, look, the Epstein files clearly are not going away. They haven't even been put on pause. In fact, we know Republican Congressman Thomas Massey is still pushing for more transparency, for more documents to be released. And we know that it is that Kentucky lawmaker, Republican, who is continuing to push this. Of course, we know that now that Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has actually agreed to provide testimony on his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. So we're talking about potential scandal after scandal after scandal, all of them moving in tandem, and all of them requiring Republican lawmakers to actually continue to provide a shield around this president, even as both he and their approval ratings are falling precipitously fast now. And of course, as it becomes increasingly, as those midterm elections become more in focus, the question becomes, will they all continue to stand with this president, or are we going to see more actually head for the exit? Already, we just saw just this week, 2 Republican lawmakers have announced their resignation at the end of the year. So that brings the number of Republican lawmakers who are leaving Congress at the end of this year to 31. That's already a record that we're seeing play out.
And again, November certainly feels like it's going to get here sooner rather than later. CTV News U.S. political analyst Eric Ham. Eric, always appreciate this. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.